So they've sort of showed you how to request them, but probably the more difficult question to answer is, what should you actually request? Because it's usually not clear how many CPU cores you need, or how much memory you need, or how much time your job needs. And so on most other supercomputing facilities, computing time is billed to the researcher, which means that they either pay directly for the computing time, or they have to apply for proposals. And so this automatically incentivizes them to use their resources as efficiently as possible, because once they run out of their quota, they're out of time and they can't do any more work. And so in those cases, the supercomputing facility doesn't really care about what users do with their time, because the users are paying for it in one way or another. On OzSTAR, Australian researchers can quite freely use the resources, and that's quite intentional. It's intended to minimize the overhead, so people don't have to go through the hurdles of writing proposals or applying for grants. And it lets any researcher just get started, and it encourages you to do some exploratory research. The consequence of that is that we rely on all users on OzSTAR to be considerate of all other users and to share their resources, because there's essentially no limit to how much you can request. We just ask you to be mindful of what you actually need and to not use any more than that. And so to help you with that, we've developed some tools to help you monitor your jobs. So the first one is the OzSTAR Job Monitor. And so that's available at this webpage here. I'll go over to it in a second to show you. But it was basically developed to help you identify any issues with the jobs that we're running. And so some questions you might ask are all the CPUs being used, or has too much memory being requested? And normally those statistics are quite hard to see. But once your job is running on OzSTAR, you can go to this webpage, the Job Monitor, and find your username here. So I'm just going to pick on a random person here. And we can see the jobs that are running there right now. So they've got 5 GPU jobs running, and we can go into any one of them and see which nodes that job is running on. So this particular job is just using 1 core on 1 node. That's John 1. And then we can see the resources being used by that job. So we can see it's using 100% of the CPU. It's using, about 50–60% of the memory being requested. So that's kind of okay. And it's not really doing any reads or writes to the file system right now. So we would say that this job is running quite well. On the job monitor here, we can also sort jobs by inefficiency. So, these jobs highlighted in red here are not running very well right now. We might go into one of them and see what's going on. So this job here is running on one of our new Dave nodes. It has requested 64 cores, but we can see that, it's using all 64 cores, but the cores are idle for a lot of the time. And so there's some issue with their code here. Or we might go into another one of these. So on this one, they've requested how many cores? 8 cores, and 4 of them are idle pretty much all of the time. So again, there's something wrong with this code. On the job monitor, you can also go back into the past. So this is showing what's currently running, but you can click on this past tab and just go into the timeline and see, okay, at midnight on Wednesday, this was the state of the system. And so you can sort of explore the jobs that we're running then. You can also have a look into this future tab, which tells you what resources are currently available. So maybe you want to submit a new job, and you don't really care about how many cores you run. You just want it to start as soon as possible. This graph here tells you what's currently free so that your job can start straight away. So if I mouse over this one, it's saying that there's 1 slot available that will run for 168 hours, so that's 7 days with 23 cores. So if you submitted a job matching those requirements, Slurm would very likely start your job straight away. That's not true all of the time. Depends on what its algorithm is doing, but it's a pretty good indicator. So that's the job monitor. Our recommendation is to sort of start a test job see how much resource your job uses and kind of refine the job script from there.